Welcome, everybody. My name is Arjun Roy, producer, recordist, mix engineer, coming at you from Grande Prairie, Alberta, my hometown. We are recording at Better Than Fred's, legendary venue, epic bar, and purveyor of fine barbecues. This is episode 11 of a series of unedited conversations that I'm calling the Hometown Hustle. Is it 11 or 12? 9, 10, 11, 12. This will be episode 13. My bad. I call it the Hometown Hustle. This deals with my artistic journey through the arts and music scene in the Peace Country and all of the people who helped me get where I am today. This evening, I am very happy to have with me none other than my good friend and yours, Jordan Lorenz. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Jordan, you're so welcome. I was so happy when I found out that you were going to be here. And, so instantly my selfish self kind of thought, like, maybe Jordan can podcast. But I didn't want to throw that out there, because if you were coming, I didn't want to take up more of your time than necessary. But that being said, I'm glad that you're here.
I'm glad you had me.
To speak and put things on the record.
On the record.
So, the funny thing is, like, whenever I do this, I always speak with a certain familiarity to whoever's here. But that's not like the rest of the world. Nobody knows what I do or have done. Jordan and I were in a band called Calculating Collapse. We were really good. Bevan Booth was on here. He was a drummer. Jordan was a guitarist, backup vocalist, right?
I think so.
Yeah. You offered vocals.
I yelled a few times.
We all yelled. That's why we didn't sing. And Jordan came in maybe halfway through the band's time, through to the end. And that was, I think, when maybe we were at our busiest. I'm not sure. But we were quite busy. But that's our connection. Mm-hmm. But I remember, I was trying to remember when we first met. And I'm not sure. Because I saw your band, The Sickness Within.
Okay.
And it might have been that. Did we meet before? Do you know? Do you remember any of this stuff? I mean,
Man, that was like so long ago.
Like everything with this.
I remember yesterday.
Points of reference. Like that happened 15 years ago. Oh,
right?
Crap.
I want to say we met probably in I don't know, 2005?
Yeah, I think so. Yep.
Ish.
Band-related stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Howlers probably.
That makes sense.
I want to say that's like where everyone kind of met.
Right. That's a thing that I forgot. And through the course of these conversations, I was reminded of. Like, I thought of this place, Better Than Fred's and BJ's, as being where we played a lot. But as soon as I started talking to anybody, especially like Brandon, Al, some of these people who were, I think, in town before I was, they just started talking about Howlers. And I realized we spent a lot of time at Howlers.
Yeah, man.
Were you at college there? Or were you there for shows?
No, man. I was there for growing up, I was friends with Kevin Biggs. Mm-hmm. He played drums for Overture.
Overture, of course. Jeremy Sharko.
Jeremy, Kale.
Sylvaniak.
And
somebody else.
The bass player. What was his name?
I can't remember.
I want to say Ryan or something.
Sure, Ryan.
Anyway, so I grew up with Kevin, and we were really good friends. I remember him playing in this band, and I think, I want to say that they played there at one point in time. And
I think so.
And remember just seeing other bands there, it was big back then, like Prevail.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Okay, I think I saw them, a couple times or whatever. Yeah. In my head, it seems like, I saw them 100 times, but it probably wasn't. It was probably like 2.
Of course. Do you see Rocksmith? See those guys?
Yeah, okay. Maybe. Mm-hmm. I remember seeing a band called Broken Nose.
Yes. Absolutely.
And I was about,
these guys are from Edmonton.
I want to say I was like 14 at the time.
Really?
Yeah. If it was like 2004 or 2005, I would have been 14 or 15. And,
okay.
And I remember just watching it, and it was like my jaw hit the floor. It was so incredible,
Right.
And I got like an album after, something like that. And yeah, I don't know. I think we met around then.
Around then, that makes sense.
Is that what you remember?
I was trying to place where it was. I thought maybe it was Fred's or the Gaiety, but I forget that you were younger than I.
Only a little bit.
Oh, just a little, just a year or two. It's
How old are you, Arjun?
36.
Yeah, you're a little bit older than me.
It's a year or two. It's good.
A year or two, it's okay.
26.
I'll be 30 in January.
Oh, incredible.
I'm still in denial.
Those were the days.
It happens.
It's amazing.
But no, I remember seeing you at Howlers too around then.
Okay.
But you guys weren't calculating collapse. You were called Death Before Dishonor.
Oh, you saw that.
Yeah, man.
So yeah, I don't know if this has been covered in these chats before. I don't know if we've ever, have we brought it? Maybe with Bevan?
I think you and Bevan talked about it a little bit.
All right. For a hot minute, we were called Death Before Dishonor.
Yes.
The funny thing about that is there's already an established hardcore band from Boston called Death Before Dishonor.
Yeah.
And, I think in the back of my mind, I knew that. I don't know if we cared because we had some shows that we could play, and so we thought, that's a good name. Yeah, let's go with it.
Sounds so cool.
It sounds very cool. It sounds like
metal.
a hardcore band. And so we played at Peace River, and sure enough, being a metal fan, there's always someone, no matter where you are, how small the venue is, how small the town is, who's aware of like the most obscure bands, right? Mm-hmm. Or not even obscure, but somebody's into something. So we were in Peace River and we played. And I think we opened for Becoming the Martyr, Stitched in Silence, and maybe another band. I'm not sure.
Okay.
But there were like 2 or 3 kids who came up to us after sound check, I think. They came in while we were sound checking, and they came up to us afterwards, and they said, "Oh man, you guys are from Grande Prairie. We thought you were like the real Death Before Dishonor from Boston. Like clearly we're not."
I'm so disappointed.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. I'm sure they thought like that band is playing in our hometown. Oh, what a score. And then we knew we had to change the name. So, gosh, that's right. Death Before Dishonor with John Jones on vocals.
Yep.
Only one guitarist at the time, I think.
I don't remember. That's so long ago.
Got it. I'm pretty sure it would have been 1 because I don't think we had 2 until Bevan started drumming and Chris Guthrie came on, and then we definitely changed our name.
Yes,
right
and then
away.
you guys put out like a 5-song demo.
Exactly, that's right.
Because, funny enough, I was going to bring this with us, me, but I forgot it, of course, right?
worries.
You always forget something.
Yep.
So when I was about that age, 14, 15, whenever it was, and you guys put out this demo, I was like the biggest fanboy to you guys. I loved you guys.
Way.
It was like...
Oh,
it was
man.
like, it was like you guys were Lamb of God to me. It was the coolest shit ever.
What a
and
nice
I remember
thing to say.
I got one of your demos and you guys all signed it for me. And it's still like in my CD collection at home. And I meant to bring it today, but I totally forgot.
Well, that's the sweetest thing. Thank you. I appreciate that, man. Thank you for sharing.
No problem, man.
That's so
Thank you for
cool.
signing it. It was cool.
All that stuff seems so long ago. It's like a world away,
100%.
I don't mean that in like I used to be somebody kind of a thing, but I used to be somebody. But that's delightful. Did we play a bunch of like all ages shows? Did you catch us at any of those?
I think so.
Okay.
I think I want to say like the Gaiety.
Yep.
Downtown.
Right.
Howlers for sure.
Okay.
Numerous times. Peace Starts at Home.
Yes. Okay. Right.
Yeah. So before I played in the Sickness, then I actually played in another band. I played drums in a band called Psychic Knife Fight.
Right.
I played with Matt Charbonneau and Jordan Zaya.
Jordan Zaya. That's right. Yeah. Jordan and Matt. I totally forgot that you were also a drummer.
Yeah.
That's right. I remember seeing you. Man,
I think I could like hold a beat, maybe.
You guys were like a psychedelic band of sorts,
yeah,
right?
Like,
it all
we
worked.
call ourselves like Funka Psychedelic Rock or something silly. Like,
of course, Psychic Knife Fight. That's right.
Yeah.
I remember seeing you there, and then the next time I saw you was playing guitar and like shredding with The Sickness Within. I'm like, that looks like that guy, you know? But now he's playing guitar, playing metal, not psychedelic rock, which is fine, which is good. Okay. That now it's starting to come back slightly. Let's go way back for a bit before we go forward. Where were you born?
Here, Grande Prairie.
Grande Prairie, born and raised.
Yeah, born and raised, full life.
Yep. Were you into music growing up? Were you into things? What were you into growing up? What did you do?
I don't know, man. I went to school.
Yeah. Yep.
Sometimes.
Of course.
No, had a whatever childhood, and I I always really liked music. We didn't really have a lot of music in our house growing up, though.
Okay.
My biological dad, he played in a band a long time ago in like the 90s.
Jason.
Yes, his name's Jason.
That's right.
He played with Mike Monroe. They played in a band together called Reminisce, I want to say.
Okay. Right.
Something like that. I'm probably pronouncing it wrong, but they played in that band together. So I remember, a couple times seeing them play at, I don't even remember. It was, like a piece starts at home kind of thing, some open show or whatever. But yeah, that was about it. Like in the household I lived in, there's music wasn't really a thing. I remember having like a Discman and stuff, and probably got into metal when I was really, really young. I want to say probably like 10 years old. I started listening to metal.
Okay. It wasn't like a gradual thing, or metal just grabbed you at a certain point and that was it.
We actually we went somewhere as a family, like my mom, my stepdad, and I, and my brother. And when we came back, we were at like the Edmonton airport or something, and we found, we found this like CD case, but it had like 200-300 CDs in it. It was like
at the airport.
It was like a DJ's CD thing, right? So we went up to the Lost and Found, and we gave it to them. And they're like, okay, if no one claims it within 30 days, what's your address? And we'll mail it to you.
That's great.
So no one claimed it, and we ended up getting mailed to us.
That's amazing.
And like there was Pantera CDs in there.
Oh.
There was the Slipknot self-titled album in there.
It's a good
record. There
record.
was like the first 2 Lamb of God albums in there.
Excellent. Yeah.
And I distinctively remember there being MTV had like it's called like Headbangers Bash or Headbangers Ball.
Yes.
And that was in there.
Okay.
And I remember putting that into my Walkman or my CD player or whatever.
Right.
And I want to say the first song on the CD was Down Again by Chimera. I don't know. Am I saying that right?
Yep.
Chimera. And I was like just instantly drawn into it. And then, after that album, I remember putting in the Slipknot album, and that was instantly loved it instantly. And I've been listening to like nothing but metal since then.
That's amazing. Again, I'm always curious about a couple of things. One of them is, how people get into music. And sometimes there's a musical family involved. Sometimes there isn't, and like the desire to, or I shouldn't say desire, maybe the compulsion comes from within, from somewhere. But this whole CD case thing is hilarious because who remembers books of CDs like in 2019? What is that? If you give that to someone now, they'll be like,
what do I do with these discs?
These like coasters, I don't need this many coasters, I don't even know. I can't stream these.
It doesn't fit in here.
That's right. How do you? Is it like a pop socket? I don't know. But I can't imagine, being that age or being at that point developmentally or something, and like receiving this like treasure trove of.
Oh man.
Those are some real landmark records,
Yes.
like it's a heck of a thing, man. Did you remember a band or a song that that was just your thing from that time? It could have been Down Again because that's the first thing you heard, but was there one
a couple
kind of thing? Okay, yep.
Laid to Rest by Lamb of God.
What a great tune.
And then I want to say I Am Hated by Slipknot.
Okay.
It was off the Iowa album. So I think that one, because like that CD wasn't in that portfolio or that CD holder, whatever you got. And I remember we had like another family vacation the year after, and we went to Edmonton.
Okay.
And because I think that album came out in 2011. And I remember we were in
Iowa?
Yes.
Like 2001, you mean?
Yeah,
sorry, of course. Yep.
I remember that album. I think it came out that year. And it was like an HMV or something. It probably was an HMV back at the time, but we were in the West Edmonton Mall. And it was like on the new releases board.
Right.
And there was that CD, and it's like that grayish
goat
background
thing.
with the black goat.
Yeah,
and I was like, I've listened to these guys. I really like them.
Right,
and I'm like
right.
11 or 12 or whatever, however old I was.
That's nuts.
And somehow my mom let me buy it. She wouldn't let me listen to Blink-182 at the time, but I was able to listen to Slipknot.
Not Blink, but
and I bought it. And I remember like opening up the pamphlet, and she was like, "What the hell is this?"
Yeah, exactly. What did you get? Mom, you said it was okay.
There's like Black Sheep's like clown with his bloody mask.
Yeah, exactly.
Corey with his white and dreads and stuff.
Of course. I'm trying to think of like songs like people equal shit.
Yeah,
stuff
man.
like that.
Yeah, she's like reading the back, like reading the lyrics. You can't listen to this.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I'm trying to think. I feel like the first song had like that breakdown that started with like, if you're 555, I'm 666. Just somebody listen to that, who doesn't know what's going on. It was so good though.
It was.
I mean, the self-titled was incredible. Iowa was also incredible. I mean, those two still hold up for me. Like they, I guess they are new metal, but I mean,
yeah,
I could still pop them and listen to them today.
Yeah, man. And Volume 3 was good too. I really liked that one. Probably not as heavy as like Iowa or anything, but it was a little bit more, I don't know, experimental. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's metal genres.
They kind of start stretching out a little bit and doing the whole thing. Yeah.
And then they actually just put one out today.
You texted. I haven't checked it out yet.
We Are Not Your Kind.
How is it?
Buddy,
what's it like?
So good.
Really?
It's so good. It's different. I must say it's different. But I mean, they're like old now.
Oh,
and
that's
not
just
like
it.
Angsty young 20-year-olds.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yep. But it's good. It's good and heavy. I've listened to it about 3 times now.
Cool.
Yeah, it's good, man.
I'll crank that up. I've been on a steady diet of power metal lately.
Oh.
Lots of dragons and dolphins and knights. So that'll be a fresh change.
Man, I was on YouTube yesterday and something popped up as like the top 10 weirdest metals or something, and it's like pirate metal.
Yep.
Yeah, like Viking metal, folk metal, like
Totally.
Corpaclani or whatever.
Yeah, of course.
Corpaclani.
Corpaclani.
Something like that.
Yeah, some kind of Finnish
It's
thing.
like flutes
Whatever.
and violins, and it's pretty cool.
It's so funny. I'm trying to I can't think of the name of the band. It's not Corpaclani. It's not Sabaton, but it's like a pirate metal band. I was in LA. This must have been in the springtime, but do you know the band Septic Flesh? Like this Greek death metal band? They're like, I don't know how else to describe the band, but they sound scary. Like if you listen to them, they're like this incredible mix of death metal and just glorious like orchestral work, like just painstakingly orchestrated, wonderful orchestral stuff. But it sounds super scary. Like I remember cranking it up for some people, and they're like, "This, what is this? This is like, this is frightening." It's like the soundtrack to a horror film or something. But I love them. They're such a good band. They're touring through North America. Obviously, they're not going to be up anywhere near us, right?
Yeah.
But they're opening for this band whose name I can't remember. It was like a local LA metal band, then Septic Flesh, and the headliner was like this, like pirate drinking Viking metal band. Just the difference in vibe was so funny. All the songs are mid-tempo, and they all feature like some kind of, like pirate shanty melody. It's like somehow there's like double kicks, but the melody like, but that's even too fast. It's that kind of a thing, and I just laughed my butt off. It was so funny. I get such a kick out of that. But metal, it's a heck of a thing.
It is.
Do whatever you
right?
want.
Really.
Be whatever you want to be.
Just add some chug-a-lug chugs and
That's
some
just it.
pinched harmonics, and it's all
Pinched
good.
harmonics. There aren't enough pinched harmonics in metal these days, I got to say.
You haven't been listening to
like
enough
used to be.
Gojira then, my friend.
Well, okay. Aside from, I feel like, okay, Zakk Wylde, Gojira, like the usual suspects.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, that's interesting.
Yeah.
How did you get into playing music? Was it around the same time, or had you been playing instruments before?
I vaguely remember being really young, 10-ish. My grandfather still to this day plays guitar. And
cool.
I remember he has like a 6-string Fender, and he had a 12-string Fender guitar. And he always, like, Christmas time or whatever, Thanksgiving, he'd always pull out the guitar and sing like old 50s songs kind of thing. And he tried teaching me one time. I remember he gave me an acoustic to learn to play and like, GCA kind of thing.
Of course.
Like the basic chords. And I don't know if I just didn't like the acoustic or whatever.
Right.
It didn't stick that time. I remember giving it back and picking it up again when I was about 13, 14-ish in that era. I think it was around the time like Ashes the Wake and Volume 3 from Slipknot came out. Because I remember hearing Laid to Rest and the song Duality.
Right.
And I was like, I need to learn how to play this.
Yeah.
This is good.
Cool.
So I went to GP
GP
Music.
Music.
Went to GP Music.
Classic. Yep.
And I bought like a reverse headstock LTD all black guitar and learned how to play those songs.
Was that the Mustaine?
Nope.
It was a different one.
I still got that one though.
Okay, got it.
No, this was like, I remember it was like $100 or something like that. And
Right.
I think my mom got it for me and I paid her back for like doing chores or something. I don't know.
Of course.
Classic.
Classic.
Yeah, it
the
was
classic.
Good. Learned how to play some songs. And
Interesting.
yeah, so that's kind of, that's it really. Like,
When did you start drumming?
when did I start drumming? Oh God. Again, I remember because my dad, and he played in that band with Mike. I remember him living in a duplex or something in town, and I was again really young, and there was a drum kit in the basement. I remember just like grabbing the sticks and making a whole bunch of racket and probably not doing anything, but I was probably, I want to say like again 14, around the time I started playing guitar. I was so Jordan Zaya's younger brother's named Dave, and me and Dave went to high school together, and elementary, junior high school. That stuff. So we were really good friends, and Jordan and Matt, I want to say Michael Cassidy. Were like jamming out in the basement one time, and they had this band called it's called like, I want to say A Pallid Hue. Or something. I don't know why I remember this.
What a name!
But what a name! And they had this guy who like played drums or something, but then he didn't want to play anymore. And I was like, I think I can play drums.
I can do it. Yeah.
And I just started jamming with them, and then it just kind of went from there. Like
very cool.
Yeah, I'd go there and jam, and then it became me and Jordan and Matt or something.
Awesome.
Started playing with them.
And that was Psychic Knife Fight.
And that was Psychic Knife Fight. We wrote a bunch of weird music. And
you guys were really interesting. Yeah. I don't know when I would have first seen you. I'm sure it was Howlers.
I want to say, it was Howlers because I was 15, 14. Like I wasn't allowed to play at Sharks or BJ's or anything, right?
Okay, got it. Yeah, I got a kick out of what you guys were doing. And it was that interesting time in the music scene when there were so many bands playing many different kinds of music, and you had like rock and metal, but then you had like some really interesting bluesy stuff, some funky stuff, and for lack of a better term, some weird stuff. Very esoteric. I'm trying to think, avant-garde, perhaps some psychedelic stuff. Welfare Jar and the Paydays comes to mind. Psychic Knife Fight, doing the psychedelic thing.
There was another like psychedelic band too.
Was that one of Tad's bands, or was Tad more of a grunge?
Oh, Tad was in like a grungy band.
Got it. Okay, then I'm mixing up bands. I don't know. But it was cool. That's all.
It was cool, man. It was a cool time.
It was an interesting time.
All those summer shows and...
That's the thing, right?
It seemed like every other weekend or something there was an open mic at Howlers with a lineup of musicians, and
it was all really good.
Yeah.
I mean, you had singer-songwriters and then like just bands, like full bands playing all the time.
Yeah. Like I want to say, was Reject around at that time too? They were kind of gigging a lot.
Yep.
Prevail around the same time.
Tainted Chode.
That's an awesome name, but I don't remember that.
No, okay, God. Might have been just before. Okay. This, like Reject was Dustin and those guys, and I think Tainted Chode was, I think, a Brent Jones led band. Travis Colwell was in that, a bunch of other folks, but I never forget the name.
And Overture.
Overture, absolutely.
Yeah, man. It seemed like there was always shows going on. I don't know if it's just because we're so much younger and feels that way. But.
Of course, and that's part of everything that we talk about here too. Is that these are times that meant a lot to us. It was like fundamental developmental times.
Absolutely.
So I'm sure there's like a certain amount of like looking at it with like rose tinted glasses. Right? Maybe it's the same now, and I just don't know. But I think it was most special back then. Who did you interact with as far as the music scene went here? Aside from who you were playing with, were there other bands that, or did you have friends in other bands? Were there band folks who, I don't know, you like looked up to or gave you advice, or you know what I mean? Like, what kind of things happened?
I mean, looking up to is definitely you guys. Calculating Collapse.
Too kind.
It was, I don't know. Just I think me and Bevan went to high school together, but I think Bevan's a few years older than I am.
Okay.
Yeah, no, like I didn't really play in any bands with anyone else except for like Kevin Biggs. He played in Overture, and then Kale. You know, we jammed a lot. Where I grew up, Kale actually lived across the street from me.
Cool.
And I think we're actually like third cousins or something, as weird as that is. Like,
it happens,
or like, you know, one of our uncles is, you know, like his uncle. I don't know how it works. But.
Right.
So he would come over and we would play a little bit of guitar together. And I think we learned like a couple Lamb of God songs. I want to say Laid to Rest is one of them.
Yep.
And then I bought a super cheap Pearl drum kit back in the day. And Kevin would come over and me and Kale and Kevin would jam.
Nice.
Yeah, and we wrote, I don't know, a couple probably crappy songs or whatever, but yeah, we jammed, and then I didn't really play music with anyone else at that time, and that was probably around the same time that I was playing with Jordan and Matt and Psychic Knife Fight. Yeah, I looked up to you guys for sure, like for local band, absolutely.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's nice. Thank you.
Hey, man. Thank you for inspiring me.
Well, this is all unplanned. I didn't know about this. You know, I'll say I would have planned it better. Like, more me. How did that lead to the Sickness Within? Like Psychic Knife Fight. Did they both just kind of happen at the same time? Like, did you just happen into?
I think the Sickness Within happened a little bit after Psychic Knife Fight. Definitely always enjoyed playing guitar a little more than drums.
Okay, right.
I mean, I'm not I can hold a basic beat, but like I'm not a drummer.
Right, I hear you, of course.
I mean, I'm not the greatest guitar player either, but I love it.
You can hold your own. Let's be real, man. You can do some things.
So I think the Sickness Within, before we were called the Sickness Within, was kind of me, Kevin, and Kale jamming.
Oh, okay.
And then for some reason or another, we ended up moving our jam space to Kevin's parents' basement. I think it was just their work schedule. Okay. They were away later, so we could play our loud, shitty music like more.
Of course.
And I don't remember what happened with Kale, to be honest with you. I don't know if it worked out or not. Okay. And I went to high school with Kyle Rukavina, who was a good friend of mine.
Kyle Rukavina, that's right.
And we were in computer class together. I want to say in like grade 10.
Nice. Okay.
And you could either do this like basic computer thing for a project or you could record music.
Oh, okay.
So like I think me and Kyle were the only guys in the class or the only people in the class that went to this the side room.
Yep.
And I remember Kyle wrote this really creepy lick. It was like doo-doo-doo. Doo-doo-doo.
Ooh.
It's kind of creepy.
Sexy.
And I had a microphone. I remember I was like looking out the window at people in the library and we were just like, we were both talking in the microphone like, I can see you. We're watching you. And we made this super creepy song.
That's incredible.
And I don't know, for some reason we hit it off. And
that's amazing.
And I was like, oh, Kyle plays guitar. And he's like, oh, Jordan plays guitar. And I'm like, we should start jamming.
Right.
And we started jamming and then
cool.
By that time, I think it'd been a while since Kale stopped playing with us. Okay. And me and Kevin had written probably like 3 songs or something, and taught them to Kyle, and we started jamming those 3 songs over and over and over and over and over again. And then from there, we started writing some more songs. Okay. And then at the time, John Jones was vocalist for you guys. Yep. And he was like going to move away or something. Exactly. So he left you guys and you guys picked up Jason. Yeah. But then John's move didn't happen or something. And I caught wind that John was still in town. And I was like, oh, we need a vocalist. It'd be so cool to play a show. That whole thing led to such an awkward situation because there's this big lead up to John moving away. We're like, oh my gosh. Oh, this is, like, it has to be said that John, through jamming, like we all got really close. John's a great guy to this day. Just a wonderful human being. We had a lot of awesome times together, and then he was moving. So for us as a band, needing to continue playing shows and push ahead with whatever we were doing, and it seemed very important at the time. Like we got to keep this thing going, okay? So we went through the process of finding a new vocalist and all that, and then John didn't move, and I felt so weird,
because we had a new singer, but John was still here, so it's a little strange. But go ahead, and then
yeah, like I don't remember the whole story, but John ended
picked him up. Yeah,
like coming out to some jam sessions and just had some some lyrics already for songs and just kind of plug some lyrics in and I want to say he played with us for probably like less than a year or something like that.
Okay.
And Kale from Overture, he put on this thing called Kale Stock.
Yeah, I remember hearing about that. Yeah.
So I want to say it was out of like Teepee Creek or something.
Okay.
And there was like this stage built and there was like kegs of beer and there was, I don't know. It felt like a few hundred people, but in reality, it was probably like 30 of us. I was like, I have no idea.
A couple of beers later, it's multiplied exponentially.
Yeah. and we played a show there. And at that time, another friend that we went to high school with, Dallas Ritchie.
Dallas. That's right.
He is also a guitar player, but we're like, Dallas, we need a bass player. Here's a bass.
Classic, of course. You're the new bass player. All right.
And he's like, okay, and he did it, and it worked, man. And we all loved playing that. I don't even know what kind of music we played, just metal that we wrote, I guess.
Talk to me about the songwriting. Who was the primary riff writer, or how did you guys put songs together?
Well, at the beginning, definitely had a few songs already written, like me and Kevin.
Right.
I want to say I probably wrote a lot of it, and then through just jamming with Kyle, we created a couple more. I think we ended up with like 8 songs or something like that at the end of it. And I want to say probably like 4 or 5 me and Kevin did. And then throughout the next year or a little bit, we wrote 3 or 4 more with the other guys, kind of thing. So
cool.
Yeah, and it was just, we'd get together, whatever, once a week or something like that. And hey, man, check out this riff I wrote. Chug, 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 wow. Oh, that's cool. I wrote this riff. Chug, 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 wow. And then you merge them together. And
heck yeah.
It's like the One Note song by Tenacious D.
It's so good, though. Interesting. I was curious about that because when I first heard you guys, I thought, there was, I guess we should frame or put some of this into context. This was like, early, mid 2000s. The new wave of American heavy metal was huge. I mean, like bands still charted, the Billboard chart still mattered, as it were. Bands still made videos, and so whether it was Much Music, or something like that,
yes,
or radio play, even, like some bands would do like weird, like radio friendly versions of their tunes and stuff.
Yeah, and they take out the swears and like replace them with
absolutely.
Words.
I heard a very strange version of, I think it was Rose of Sharon once, where they'd taken out all the screaming and like it was replaced with singing vocals. The screamy parts were sung, and the chorus hit like it always did, and it creeped me out.
Yeah.
It was still a really good song, but it was just a very strange treatment of the song. So this was kind of the framework in which we were all doing our thing. So like the scene was very strong. Metal bands, like legit metal, hardcore, metalcore, and I would say the new wave of American heavy metal in terms of like Killswitch, Lamb of God, bands like that were like nominated for Grammy Awards. So like new metal would come, newer new metal bands would come up and they would be recognized. It wasn't like they were underground and nobody heard about them. There was a massive interest in metal. I mean, As I Lay Dying was huge. Trivium was massive.
Yes.
Trivium may have been the biggest out of them all, or maybe Killswitch. I don't know, but everyone knew about these bands.
Trivium was one of the first bands I ever saw live.
No way.
And I think I was probably about 16 at the time, too.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. And the amazing thing about Trivium is that they were playing and recording like when they were in their teens.
Yeah.
It's like Matt Heafy's like my age.
Oh, dude.
Except he's, like in the band Trivium. Has attained a lot more than I have in music.
Do you remember that? It was like the Roadrunner United.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was, and what a cool project. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep.
I remember watching that as a kid all the time.
It was so cool.
I bought that CD came with the DVD.
Yep.
And the Disaster Pieces by Slipknot, that live performance in London.
Yep.
I would just sit at my computer in our or whatever, our office in my house with my big Bose headphones on or whatever.
That's right.
And I would just listen to that on repeat all the time between that Roadrunner and the other one. Oh, man.
That was a wonderful thing. the scope of that project, Roadrunner United, was incredible. Thinking back to it now, you have the number of artists that collaborated and the way they collaborated. It was a special thing, man.
It was
really
so cool.
Absolutely.
Right?
You got some really interesting songs that came out of that. It was just super neat.
Yeah.
So that was the backdrop to us, in our metal dreams and ambitions.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking up to those guys and
Absolutely, man.
wanting to follow their footsteps and
Totally.
get signed to Roadrunner.
Well, that was the dream, right? Get signed to
Along with
Roadrunner.
Nickelback and David.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Roadrunner, they made, they shifted gears a couple of times as far as their identity as a label went. And I mean, they did some really good stuff, obviously, but that was, I feel like all the bands that we looked up to, that was what they did, right? They got signed to Roadrunner, and they toured with other
Metal
awesome
Blade
bands.
or
A Metal
something.
Blade, exactly, or Century Media.
Yes.
The big, and I guess we should add Nuclear Blast to that. But it was like Roadrunner, Century Media, Nuclear, Lisa. Oh my gosh, it's pronounced nuclear. Oh my gosh! But yes, that was when we did what we did. The sound, Sickness Within. So I heard I mean, I guess we could just call it metalcore, but the new wave of American heavy metal kind of thing with you guys. But there was like something else. There was like a death metal thing. I remember there were a couple of tunes that had these great riffs that were tremolo picked. And I don't know how they developed or how they led into the rest of the song, but I remember hearing it and thinking, like, man, this sounds like Lamb of God mixed with Immortal.
Oh, yeah.
Which is, I love Immortal. I mean, I'm not like a massive black metal fan for a variety of reasons, but there are a few bands that are just undeniably really good. And I love the band Immortal. People,
it's funny because, like,
pretty goofy, but dude.
None of us, I don't think any of us listened to black metal ever before that.
Right.
Just wrote these riffs and thought they were cool.
Yeah. And they were
cool.
Absolutely. We played a show together at the Gaiety.
Yeah. The first show we ever played, we opened up for you guys.
At the Gaiety?
Here at Fred's, actually.
Oh, okay.
It was the first show we ever played.
Cool.
We... I don't remember how we ended up doing that. I think we had like a couple songs we had recorded and we either put it on a CD or something and let you guys hear it and let John hear it and got the okay or something like that. And we opened up for you guys here.
Awesome. That's so cool.
That was cool, man.
Were you guys 18 at the time?
I think we all had just,
Oh, okay,
I think like Kyle was the youngest and he had like just turned 18 or something, so we were allowed to be here.
I was going to say, was one of those things where you guys, play and then immediately have to leave or what? But okay, that's cool. I remember, I remember a couple of those gigs and then the show at the Gaiety stands out for some reason. I don't know why.
Although I should interject. There was we had John for a while and John ended up, I think he legitimately did move, right?
Yep.
So we were without a vocalist for a while, and that's when Sean Streeper became our vocalist.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Goddamn, he's good.
Right. Streeper
So
is a
good.
great vocalist. Just a wonderful dude too.
Yep.
Just a wonderful guy. Did you guys go to school together?
Yeah,
Like you
we
guys
did.
knew each other at
High
the
school. Same kind of thing.
Right.
Sean plays guitar as well. Sean's a wicked guitar player too.
He is. Had a chat with Bevan when Bevan was on this about Sean,
Yeah.
I don't remember how it came up. We were probably talking about you joining Calculating Collapse. But you know what? I think that's exactly what it was. John had left. Sean had come into the fold. And Bevan was like, Sean Streeper? He's like a screaming metal guy.
Right?
And he hits the stage and, I mean, it was just insanity. I mean, he just nailed it. You know? Like,
he was so good.
Great. Absolutely.
And it was so funny because back then, like you couldn't... We didn't have a laptop where you could use your like Line 6 thing and Fruity Loops or GarageBand,
right.
So we jammed, me, Kyle, Kevin, and Dallas. We had this. Me and Kevin used to rent a place with Tad, and that was like our jam house. And I remember setting up a tripod with like an old digital camera.
Yes, of
and
course.
we would like hit record, and we would jam our song. We'd be like, this song's called this.
Of course, for posterity.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we'd be like, this next song's called this. And then we gave that to Sean.
Okay.
So like Sean took it home or something and would listen to it, and he'd sit in on jams and whatever.
Oh, okay.
Because I remember I wrote a handful of lyrics too for some of our songs, and I think I gave them to John. I don't know. I don't remember. And there was already some lyrics that were already there for the songs, and those were given to Sean as well. And I think he may have tweaked him a little bit. And then he wrote a whole bunch of his own, and they just turned out so good.
Got it.
So good.
Yeah.
And then we recorded our 4-song demo with Sean.
Right.
Which I still have on my phone today.
No way. Yeah, oh my gosh. Well, we'll crank it up later for copyright purposes, don't you know?
It's so bad. It sounds so bad.
Hey, look, we might get sued by the Marvin Gaye estate. You never know.
You never know.
Could have ripped these guys off. But that's great.
Yeah, man.
That's very cool. That's right. I forgot that Sean was vocalist for you guys. And then at some point, we needed a rhythm guitarist.
Yes.
And because I had seen you guys play, and I don't know what it was. I think something about your playing, you seemed at ease on stage. Like you moved very naturally. It seemed like, this guy, this guy's not green at all. He clearly has a lot of experience under his belt, rocking out, metaling out. I thought to approach you. Everything kind of, everything happened quickly. Like, Chris was out of the fold.
Yeah.
And I feel like we had some shows coming up, and so we had to figure out, did we cancel shows? Did we try to find somebody and practice and see if it would work out? And then I thought to ask you. I remember calling you or texting you and seeing if you wanted to grab coffee at Cobblestone Starbucks. This popped up a couple of times.
I was like half second behind there.
That's all good.
Almost.
At Cobblestone Starbucks. There you go. It's funny, since moving back to town, that's become like my third space in a way, because when I'm here, I can work from home. I work remotely, and there's nothing more. I'm trying. What's the negative of this? There's no better way to not get stuff done than to like sit around at home.
Yep.
It seems like you will sit around at home and be very productive and like mix a bunch, and then record a bunch, and then edit some video. And then write music and stuff. But home is home, so it's easy to just put on some YouTube, some Netflix,
Next
watch
thing you know,
TV.
you're just in your underwear.
Underwear, eating chips, falling asleep.
Oh, Cheeto in my belly button.
Exactly. So I sort of drop Lakshmi off in the morning at school, and then I'll kind of drive back and spend a couple of hours at Cobblestone Starbucks.
I missed it.
Working, it's okay. That was an unplanned one.
Okay,
so
sorry.
The one that we did together was special. That's the thing. And so I'll spend some time there working, and I don't know what it is. This is not a diss to any of the other Starbucks in Grande Prairie, but Cobblestone Starbucks, the vibe is different. Everybody there is very interesting. They're super nice. It's got its own character. I don't know how to explain it, but I love that Starbucks. I'll go to other Starbucks and they just won't do it for me. I couldn't tell you why, but
the
Cobblestone
don't have that zazz.
The zazz.
As you will.
Yes. Oh man, I can't do it that well anymore. There was a time when we could all do that.
Yep.
Need more sash. It was so good.
It's funny because I remember I hadn't watched Metalocalypse yet.
Oh, okay.
And we were jamming, me, Kyle, and Kevin. And Kyle used to always say, "Needs more zazz." And I hadn't watched it yet. And I was like, Kyle, shut up. I don't know what that means.
Don't say this dumb stuff that you just made up.
And then he showed me Metalocalypse. Him or Sean or something.
Got it. Brendan Small.
Love
this guy. Just genius. There are a few things in life that capture what it is to do a specific thing that well. I feel like every single episode of that show was hilarious, but also filled with stuff that we did as bands or as musicians. And you're like, right? I guess.
Helicopter goes through turbulence. Exactly. What was that? It's just a wild flock of doves.
That's right. Exactly.
Or however it went.
This is a food library.
Foods libraries.
Right.
Measures the cup of rice, puts it into the cart, and it all falls through.
You're like looking through a case at something, or like a cooler, and smashes his hand through it and grabs it.
Grabs the lobster.
Yeah. It was such an excellent show.
It's so good.
So I called you and said, let's grab coffee at Cobblestone Starbucks.
Yeah.
What happened?
Or something.
What you remember? How did that go?
I remember being nervous, man.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
You're Arjun of Calculate and Collapse. Like,
you were too kind.
you're a big deal.
Oh, you're too kind.
Everyone knew you, man. Everyone knows you. Yeah, I don't know. I remember meeting you there, and I was like, what's going on? Like,
you asked me out on a date.
Which I would say yes to.
Thank you.
I'm like, why is Arjun asking me for coffee? Maybe he just wants to, like, maybe Arjun wants to be in the sickness with him.
Yeah, exactly. That's
No,
right.
I don't know. I don't remember. I couldn't tell you what my thoughts were at the time, but I do remember being nervous. And, and we sat down, and however long we were sitting for, you had asked if I wanted to play in Calculate and Collapse.
Yeah.
And I don't think I hesitated. I think I was pretty cool with that.
Right.
Because like I said at the time, like I looked up to you guys. It was as if Randy Bly, Lamb of God was like, "Do you want to be a guitar player?" Like that. To me, that was the same thing. You know.
Gotcha.
So couldn't turn it down. And
thank you, man.
And I remember.
Yeah.
I specifically remember too. You guys had a show in Fort St. John. I think it was 7 days from when you asked me to join the band, or like 8 days or something like that. And you're like, here's a stack of papers and here's a demo CD. You need to learn all these.
Did I tab out the songs for you?
You did. You tabbed out all the songs for me, which was that was awesome, man. Or I want to say the show was like a week and a half away or something.
Yeah, man. It wasn't 2 weeks. It wasn't 1 week.
It was somewhere in between. And you're like, we're going to be jamming in a week or something. And I learned like 8 of the songs.
Yeah, totally.
And I remember at the time I was working wherever, and I'd come home from work and come home and guitar in the amp, and I would jam out until probably 1, 2 in the morning kind of thing.
Yeah.
Just to learn all these songs.
Oh, that's amazing.
And then we had our first jam, and I remember looking at our like set list of the first jam, and it hadn't clicked what songs were what yet. I didn't know the names of the songs.
Yeah.
And I was like, drifting. Which one's drifting again? I don't remember.
Is it the one that goes zhig zhig whoop? Or the one that goes zhig
And then you guys
zhig,
would like
whoop?
start it. I'm like, okay, it's that one.
Right,
it's that one.
right.
And then we'd start jamming. And
That's
I learned
cool,
it.
man.
Yeah.
I remember that whole thing came together, incredibly well. I don't know if there was a transition that could have been smoother than that. You coming in and us jamming and then going to play in Fort St. John. And that was a heck of a show. I don't remember the specifics, but
I remember to me, it's one of those things that I'll never forget because it was my first show with you guys.
Yeah.
It was incredible, man.
Yeah.
We played in Fort St. John with, like I said, I never forget it, but I don't remember who we played with. But
oh, good.
I remember there was like a projection screen.
Yeah.
And the Calculate and Collapse logo was projected on the wall behind us.
Yep.
And
like a couple of hundred kids out.
Yeah.
That was like
it was crazy.
Very packed all ages show.
Yeah.
And I always remember the crowds in Fort St. John. That group of fans were, they were great. They were so into what was going on.
Yep.
They were just, as soon as the songs would start, they would just go insane, and it was so cool.
And I think, too, it helped me in learning the songs because, like I said, I had your guys' demo already from years before that.
Yep. Okay.
And just like within my mix of listening to Lamb of God and Megadeth and Slipknot, I listened to Calculate and Collapse all the time because I loved you guys.
That's so cool,
It was
man.
great. So in my head, I already kind of knew kind of how the songs went. So I think that kind of helped a little bit.
That's great.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
It's kind of cool.
I remember that, again, that show was so good because it went so well. It was so, I'm sure there may have been hiccups now and again, but it was a tight set. And I feel like we just obliterated the place.
I want to say we played with Reject as well.
We did. And we did because they were there in their camper.
Yes.
Right? And they had gotten there sometime before. They had a couple of drinks and we arrived sometime later and hung out with them and then played. I feel like there was a local band opening.
Yeah, there was a couple like Fort St. John bands playing as well.
That's right.
And we hung out in this like room upstairs that opened out onto the roof.
That's right. Green room kind of thing.
Yeah. Whatever. Yep. That was cool, man.
That was cool.
That was like a dream come true.
That's
as lame as that sounds.
No, not at all, man.
It was so cool, man.
That's the thing about music and art and the things that we do. All this stuff touches us deeply in a variety of different ways.
Yeah.
And so looking back on it now, it's easy to like over intellectualize some of that and just be like, well, it must have been so lame. And I do it all the time too. Like, I'm so stupid to think this, because I think the nature of being an artist is just you're always fighting against yourself. Maybe it's like for validity or your own harshest critic. So
you're always trying to do something better.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
So it's easy to look back on things you did and go, oh, I was so dumb back then. But that's not the case, man. It was a great time for all. What did we do after that? Were we talking about touring at that point? I mean, I know we played a bunch of shows around town. Maybe we went to Edmonton or something.
Probably. I want to say we did.
Yeah.
But it's
something like that. Yeah.
Something like that. We did play a whole bunch of shows.
That was one thing that always stands out.
I want to say we went to Fort St. John like 2 more times after that as well. And we played a whole bunch of shows around here. I want to say Fred's was probably the place we played the most.
There were a lot of bands coming through, I feel like.
Yeah.
Like bands going through Canada as well as bands from BC. Like all of our sort of, Alberta pal bands.
Yes.
We would trade shows all the time.
Something for Six Gun. Something.
Six Guns over Tombstone.
Yes.
That's right.
That's it. We played with them.
A couple of those guys play in Striker now.
Oh, yeah?
They turned into Striker.
That's cool, man. The one guy had hair like you.
And it was a wig. Do you remember that?
It was a wig. I do remember. I remember he took it off, and I was just so sad.
Absolutely. The funny thing is they covered Angel of Death as part of their set. And I remember he nailed that opening Tom Araya scream. And it was, with that hair, he was like, it's like Tom Araya, the second coming, And I think after the set, he somehow just, he took it off. And then, it took me like a few minutes to realize, like, no, you did see that, It was, why? Exactly. Like, that was great. All Else Fails. We played a bunch with those guys.
Yeah. And here too, I think, right?
Yep.
They came.
Yep. They came up here.
Yeah.
We traded some shows.
Played with Reject.
All the local bands, right?
Yeah, man. That was cool. That was some fun times.
It was. What happened to the Sickness Within when you joined Collapse? Like, was that after John had moved away, or was Sickness still going when you joined?
Well, John had moved away.
Okay.
And then Sean played, and we played together for quite a bit of time and played a whole bunch of shows. And then I think, we'd been playing for quite a while, and then you had asked me to play in Calculating Collapse. And I probably put most of my eggs in the Calculating Collapse basket at the time. I think a couple of them were upset at me about it at the time.
Yeah.
But, looking back.
For sure.
Whatever.
So funny.
I think we still jammed though, but I remember too. Kevin was playing with Tad a lot. They were playing in that band Dumbstruck.
Dumbstruck.
Tad,
that's
Kevin, and whoever else, and they were in like a grungy.
Yeah.
Like what's Carl's old band called?
Spectrum.
Yes.
Yeah. That's right.
Kind of like a similar vibe, I want to say.
I forgot that Kevin was the drummer in that band.
Yeah.
That's right. Cool. Good for him. I remember him and his fast feet.
Yes.
He's a very, technically proficient drummer. Man. That's very cool.
Kevin's a great dude.
He is. What is he up to now?
I think he lives in Calgary.
Oh, cool.
He's a carpenter, yeah.
Awesome.
I haven't seen him in a couple years.
Yeah.
He was a groomsman in my wedding. So.
Oh, cool. That's great.
Yeah, he's awesome. He looks like Jesus. He's got like long hair,
No way.
and like a facial hair now. And
Is he taller?
no.
Kevin, I'm sorry. I had to ask. Cool.
Oh, I love that
He's
kid.
like a short Jesus.
I
That's
met
cool.
Kevin when I was like 4 or 5
No
years old. He
way.
lived just
Okay.
down the street from me, and became buddies because we lived on the same block or whatever. And
Yeah. That's beautiful.
yeah, that's cool.
Man, okay. So you were in Calculating Collapse. We played a bunch of shows.
Yeah, we did, man. It was so cool.
It was really cool. Were we working on newer material at the time, or was everything already written?
Everything was already written.
Okay,
It's kind of
got it.
like, here's a book and learn it.
Right.
And here's the backup vocals, learn them. And I did all that stuff.
Yeah.
And we played a whole bunch of shows.
Yeah.
And I had briefly moved to St. Albert to go to Nate
Oh,
at
that's
the time.
right.
And
forgot
we
about
got that gig where we opened up for Misery Signals. And
Like that list of bands, right? Like
why is that other band? That's
Sight and Sound,
super awesome. Architects, that's the one.
Right.
Those are the two that stick that I still listen to these days.
They're so good, man.
They're so good.
Just
And that was probably
so
the most people I've ever played in front of, and
Right.
I think we had like a 20-minute set, and that was with like setup and tear down time.
Absolutely.
So we played like 3 songs or 4
totally.
songs
We just
or something.
slammed through them. What I remember, and this is, again, so we're here at Better Than Fred's, in the back room where a lot of this band history stuff happens. And I remember that show came up, and I think John had reached out to us to ask about, like, do you know this band Misery Signals? Do you know these bands on the bill? Like, is this a thing that we should go ahead with and book? And we were all over it, like, yes.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I think Alexis on Fire had played at Bose the year before or something like that. And there was like a pretty big turnout. But this was like Better Than Fred's, so a lot of people would show up. We knew that it would be like a big deal. And I mean, for me, selfishly, I wanted to play with Misery Signals.
Who wouldn't,
come on,
right?
who wouldn't? Absolutely. This was right when Controller had come out, right?
Yes. Yeah, they were touring to promote it.
Oh, gosh, that was... And so the list of bands was also incredible. Again, all the bands that we listed, Sight and Sound. And I want to say it wasn't Thursday, it was...
Wednesday,
exactly. One of those bands put up.
Terrible.
Well, add that in post. Put up, But Haste the Day, that's who it was.
Yes,
Haste the Day also played. That's it. And as far as we knew, we were opening. And I don't remember if it was, I think it was the day of the show, but somebody told us, it might have been somebody in like the touring band camp that like, oh, wait a minute, we don't have a local opener.
Yes,
like, there's no local opener on
that.
this thing. And to his credit, John, said no, we talked about this. There will be a local opener. These guys busted their butts to like spread the word about the show, and they were like, fine, they can have a 20. And so I remember, just as you described, I don't even know how we did it, but just a matter of minutes, And it was like, there were 2 drum kits on stage, so we were standing right at the front.
Yeah, there was no room to move at all.
There was no room. I think Bevan was right up against like the front monitor, and we were all beside him. But we played 3 or 4 songs, and I think we killed it, man. I think we sounded great. I remember it had already started to get really packed. Like people had shown up. It was the most people I've ever seen in this place. Like the place was sold out and I mean there was no room to walk, and yeah, man, we killed it, and people were so stoked. And every band after, I mean, it just got more and more. I don't know, got more intense. I mean, when people think of metal shows, they always think of like intensity and anger, but I'm just thinking like good vibes intensity. It was just great vibes. All those bands are, like fairly positive in terms of what they sing about and write about. But it was great. I remember I think just you and I, like awkwardly came up here in the back room where all the bands were.
I still have photos. Like we were standing right here with the guys from Misery Signals.
That's right.
And we're like, getting pictures with them. And
we're like the opening band, we're just children.
Yeah,
like,
we chatted with them for however long. And they were just normal guys, right? Just down-to-earth guys.
Great. Absolutely. And I mean, also at the time, you're just like, they're Misery Signals. Like, who are we kidding? This is amazing. Misery Signals. You guys are amazing. I mean, I don't, not that they'll watch this, but maybe they will.
Are they still around?
They are. So
okay.
I feel like there were a few years of hiatus, and then they crowdfunded an album, Absent Light, while I lived in Spain. I don't remember if Carl sang on that or if Jesse sang on that, but I think it was Carl.
Because they went through a few member changes as well.
Exactly. Some folks, like in terms of the instrumentalists, some folks were out, then back in. And then I think while on tour for that record, the original lineup came back together, including Jesse. And then they crowdfunded whatever the next record was a couple of years ago. And it's been that lineup that recorded like Of Malice and the Magnum Heart back together. But yeah, man, seeing them at that time was just insane. The place just went off,
And you know what? Even like to this day, that Controller album is one of my favorites. Easily top 10.
Absolutely.
Easily. I still listen to it at least once a week.
It's
so good.
It's
so good.
It's hard to pin those guys down musically because it's metal, it's hardcore.
And you know what? I really think if they released that today, if they released Controller today, I think they would they would have taken off.
Yeah, I hear you.
It's that like sound that everyone's going for today.
Absolutely, absolutely. One thing that grabbed me about them when I heard of Malice and the Magnum Heart was like I couldn't name another band that sounded like them. Devin Townsend, I think, recorded and maybe also produced Malice, but he definitely did everything on controller, including the mix.
Yeah, such a good sound.
Absolutely. I don't know how to describe it. It's just a very unique record. And I saw that band. So I saw them opening for Strapping Young Lad and Arch Enemy and God Forbid. Right? So it was one of these. Dude, it was a crazy show. This must have been 2004. They were touring that record. I didn't know about the history of Misery Signals and how they came together. You know, the previous bands, you know, the Edmonton connection, the tragedy that kind of brought them together. But they must have opened that concert. And I was there to see like Strapping and Arch Enemy, you know. And they hit the stage and, I mean, I was just blown away. They played all the stuff from Malice, plus a couple of older tunes. They hit, I don't know if you remember that instrumental Worlds and Dreams.
Okay, yeah.
That's like in the middle of that album. It's just so beautiful. And then that went into like, you know, the year summer ended in June or something.
Yeah.
And man, I had chills. It was just wonderful music.
Isn't that weird how music can do that? Like you really get into a song and next thing you know, it's like a breeze went by and you got goosebumps.
Yeah, absolutely. Hair sticking up and the whole thing. But what a special band. To answer your question, so they're still around. They put out a documentary about the band last year, or it may have been 2 years ago.
Was that like the documentary that they were delaying for years and years and years? Where they were, because they remember when we opened up, they were filming. This documentary.
Exactly. It wasn't that. I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened to that, but I remember being very excited because they talked to a bunch of people outside, and the filmmaker Marcus. He was talking to all of us. You know, we were just talking about music and the scene and everything. And then that got shelved for some reason. Yeah. But the documentary that came out, I'm pretty sure it was called Yesterday Was Everything, in line with, their whole thing.
It wasn't Yesterday is Thursday and today is Friday.
Today is Wednesday. The day and Friday. Oh, no. Got to get down. Oh, jeez.
I'm sorry.
No,
I apologize.
No worries. We'll edit that out. I'm kidding. This unedited podcast. So they have a new album coming out sometime soon.
Nice.
And they will be back. They'll be on tour sometime soon. I saw them this year, March of this year. They were in Edmonton around St. Paddy's Day.
Cool. Where'd they play?
Starlight Room.
Oh yeah,
Starlight. Just that's where I had seen them actually. That Strapping Young Lad tour with them, that was in Starlight.
That's so
cool.
What
a beautiful venue. Yeah,
where
what a band, dude.
Did we play in Edmonton? We played like a Harvesting Hell.
Yes,
is that what it was called?
That's right, Harvesting Hell.
We played some kind of like multi-tiered room where there was like 4 shows going on at once, or 2 shows going on at once, or something.
Exactly. I forget what that place was, but we kicked off like the whole thing, right? And we played at like 4 p.m. or 5 p.m. or something like that.
Yeah, it was good.
Which was great because no one else was playing at the time. Like it was us. And then maybe another band or two, and then like the 2-stage thing started after a while. But I forget what that venue was, man. That was a lot of fun, though.
It was a lot of fun.
I
remember Barrett from Alice Fails. Am I saying that right?
Yep.
He filmed it, and I remember we had copies of our performance. And like audio video.
We did.
It wasn't the greatest audio, but it was really cool.
It was cool.
And I still have a copy of that somewhere. I remember watching it years ago.
Yeah.
Being like, what is this random disc? Yeah. And I was like, what?
Oh, it's me when I was awesome. You're always awesome. Please. That's crazy. That's cool, right. Because he guested on one of the tunes, right? He hopped up and did guest vocals.
I think that was later down the road.
Oh, really?
Or maybe he did do it that time too.
He did something.
Because he did that as well when we wore polos. We wore colorful
the polo
polos.
show, that's right. Was that the last collapse show? Was that the last collapse show? I think so.
Show.
I think this came up with that
later.
We'll save that for later. Exactly. Dude, that's hilarious.
That was a cool show.
That was
like Quo Vadis played.
yes, cobwebs. That's right.
I want to say the Six Guns Over Tombstone.
Yep, they played.
Guys played as
Yep.
well.
Yep.
A whole bunch of cool bands.
Whole bunch. Really, really good. Some really good death metal bands from around Canada.
Yeah.
You know?
And it was like a 2-day.
Yeah,
it was like a
it was a
multi-day
whole 2-day
thing.
thing.
Right?
Absolutely.
And it was just metal all day.
Metal and more metal.
Yeah.
Just nothing wrong with that. How can you go wrong with that, right?
You can't.
Exactly. It's impossible. We did that. That's right. We played Harvesting Hell. Did we play Starlight together?
I don't know.
Because we played Starlight a couple of times. Maybe they were both with John.
Maybe. I don't remember.
Okay.
I think we played so many shows. It was just
we did. That's the thing.
I want to say we played. I don't know. I want to say hundreds, but it clearly wasn't hundreds. But
but it may have
we played a lot of shows.
We played a lot of shows. Absolutely.
A lot of shows.
And it showed, if I may say so. We were really tight. Like when we were, once we got into the swing of things and that lineup clicked. I mean, we were so tight.
Awesome.
That was great. And then we talked about touring.
Yeah.
I feel like we tried to do that a couple of times. Touring, yeah.
Okay.
We tried to, and then various people couldn't leave to go on tour, work, all that kind of stuff. Because I remember doing all the booking and
I remember that too.
Calling people back and saying, "Remember that time I called you and said we're on tour? We're not on tour, but can I call you in a few months?"
Yep.
Doing that a couple of times, and
I want to say it took months to figure that out, right? I remember you were always trying to call venues and set it up.
Cold call too.
Yeah.
I mean, cold call. This is like, we may have had some things on MySpace,
and it's not like today where you can be like, hey, check out my Facebook page or go to my Instagram, which has a link to my YouTube, which has all of our audio files on YouTube or Spotify
cold
or Apple
calling
Music.
someone and they're watching you at the same time and being like, yes, I will definitely hire you. No, like cold
let
calling.
Let me snail mail you a demo CD.
And our press kit with our photograph and a bio.
Yeah.
I remember stuffing so many bubble mailers with this stuff,
Yeah.
and sending it out to people. I mean, you talk about like throwing money in a well, it's like one of these will make it all worth it. But that's just what you had to do, though.
Yeah,
that's just
totally different. I mean, now so many guys are, put music on YouTube and have millions of views, and it's awesome. It's so cool how you can share music that way now versus before, where it was like, hey, check out my MySpace.
Oh, we're really good. I promise.
We're really good.
Oh my gosh. That's so funny, man. But yeah, we put it together. And I mean, ultimately, the tour that we ended up going on, like across Canada, that is, we played a few dates in BC.
Yep.
And then
I think we started it here at Fred's, right? We had a kickoff show.
Yeah, we had like a kickoff tour fundraiser show.
Yeah.
It's a good thing we did because we ran out of money like later.
And we collected cans and stuff from people to go to the bottle depot.
Of course.
Did bottle drives and stuff.
Absolutely. Talk about this whole thing is called the hometown hustle. I feel like that is a lot of hustling, you know? I was trying to pull together whatever we could to have funds, to put gas in the van, to hit the road.
Yeah. We left from here and then we went to
Prince George.
I think, did we hit Edmonton and Calgary first, or did we go right to BC?
Oh, I think we went south, Edmonton, Calgary, and then we drove through southern BC, right?
Yeah.
Something like that.
And we had a camera and we filmed little silly bits. I think
did.
they're still on YouTube.
They are on YouTube. I saw a couple of them
it's
the last few months.
A 5-minute video of eating carrots or something.
I remember that. Eating carrots. There's some kind of a driving montage.
Yeah.
There's some pretty hilarious
the one
stuff
with
on
the telephone pole falls on me.
Oh, that's right. Right, because we drove by one and there was,
rescue.
it made sense at the time.
Yep.
I hope that one's still on YouTube. I hope it is. I got to find it.
I looked at it a week ago.
No way. Well, we'll put a link to it
nostalgia
down below. People can get a load of
somewhere.
That's right.
Yeah, from Calgary we went to BC or something, right?
Yeah, we played through BC. We camped a bunch. Played in Vancouver. We went to Nanaimo, right?
Where did we play in Vancouver? We played at
the Cambie. Is that what that was called? Sketchy hotel.
We played downtown East Hastings somewhere, right?
Yeah.
Somewhere. Wow, it was that place that 3 Inches of Blood filmed their music video.
Yes. Whatever that place is called.
Whatever that
That's
place.
right.
The Cobalt.
The Cobalt.
The Cobalt.
Good call, man.
Played with the Cobalt.
The Cobalt.
Like
that
a
was
bunch
cool.
of needles out in the back.
Yeah. Oh, it was.
Don't step on the needle.
Exactly. Be careful. That was a heck of a good show.
That was.
I don't remember who else played. A bunch of Vancouver bands, I'm sure, and us. But we held our own. It was a lot of fun.
Oh, that's cool, man. We stayed at some like random, like the promoter's like apartment or something.
Absolutely.
and-
She ended up putting us up for like 3 days.
Yeah.
Because we were trying to, I don't even remember what the deal was. I think we had like a couple of days of downtime and then the show in Nanaimo. And we thought we would go and camp or something. But by the time we decided to leave Vancouver, it was like the evening.
Yeah.
And so we couldn't like drive someplace and start camping.
Yeah.
So we like awkwardly went back. We're like, can we stay your place?
And we were
Again?
driving in your Jeep. Remember,
Oh,
there was
that's
5
right.
of us in a 5-seater, like
Oh dear, yes.
2000 Jeep Grand Cherokee with a U-Haul trailer.
Pulling the U-Haul, just like the back wheels doing that.
Just all smushed,
Oh my gosh.
all stinky.
All stinky, all smushed.
And how long was that leg? Like 3 weeks?
That was, maybe it was a week and a half.
Week and a half? Okay.
Because one of the things about playing in Canada is that, we have to traverse massive distances to get anywhere. It's not like the States where there are sort of viable markets that you can hit up, every night or even every other night. Here it's kind of like try and pack like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then there's nothing to do Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, maybe even Wednesday, I think that's the best most bands are going to do. So I remember I think what we did is we kicked it off here maybe like on a Thursday night or a Friday night, and then we hit Edmonton the next day, maybe we played another show, something like that.
I remember playing this one basement in Calgary.
Yeah, we did. The Distillery?
Maybe?
I'm not sure.
I don't remember the name of it, but it was a really cool venue.
It was a really cool venue.
Really cool.
That was a good show.
It was like a dark and dingy place with a low ceiling, and
Right.
there's so many people there. And
Exactly.
It was so cool.
Awesome. Those shows are the best, man.
Yeah.
It's packed in tightly.
Yeah.
And then we hit BC. We played, I feel like we hit the Cranbrook, Kimberley.
Yeah, I remember playing Kimberly.
Right? Yep.
I remember playing Kimberly because I think there was no one else there except for the other bands that were playing. Wow. Was that Kimberly?
That may have been,
That
yeah.
happened for sure.
That happened.
once.
Yep, absolutely.
I want to say it was either that or when we played in the Okanagan.
Oh my gosh. The Okanagan, we ended up playing 2 or 3 shows with like an indie rock band, right?
Yes.
That's right.
Yep.
That's right. One of those shows was like us and them.
Yeah.
And there were a few people who came to watch the show, so we thought like, great, we'll have like maybe $50 to put in the the van for gas each. But then they stiffed us with the bill to pay the sound guy. So
Yes.
they took that money out, and I remember distinctly, this is a very strong memory that I have, being super grumpy, like, oh, stiffed us on this, God. And sitting with a drummer from the other band, because we didn't know them, they didn't know us, and I mean, neither person wanted the other band to like rip them off. So we're like, all right, we're going to count this money, the 2 of us. We went like this, and it was, guess how much each of us made?
I don't remember.
$7.
Oh, God.
$7, dude. I forget what the sound guy got, but it was all of it except for like $14. So like, sweet, oh, it's great, thanks. And then we like drove somewhere else in the Okanagan and played another show with them, and I think we made like marginally more than that, but that show stood out because it was like,
I want to say we made like
$7.
just enough to fuel up the van to get to the next venue kind of thing.
That's the thing. That leg, we were able to put gas in the tank, drive around, and like that was okay.
Yeah.
We camped out a couple of times. We took the ferry to Nanaimo.
Yes,
that was actually a pretty fun show.
I remember that Nanaimo show very, very well. There was like we stayed in the hostel.
Yeah, that's right. There was a hostel.
It was above the bar.
Yes, it was. It was a hostel. I forgot about that.
It was. And I distinctly remember that because I shattered my big toe
at my place,
right at your place, before the tour.
Oh no!
And my toe was shattered in so many places a doctor couldn't count, and I had it like all taped up, and the nail fell off, and I remember bleeding all over your parents' basement.
I remember seeing the thing happen, and it didn't seem like as big a deal as it turned out to be. It was like, every house has like a collection of these massive, like these tall lamps that are like very thin, but then there's like a glass top.
Yeah, big glass bowl.
Big glass. And so we were just, I don't even remember. No one was doing anything untoward or strange, but somehow we like bumped into this lamp and this heavy glass thing just went poof, like just on your toe.
Yeah.
And I took a moment to think, like, what just happened? Oh, there's glass all over the floor? Oh, your toe is all over the floor? What's happening? Oh my gosh. Yeah. And then we went out on tour.
Yeah.
Oh, dude.
I remember that show because Jason was, we were all really, really into the music,
totally.
Right? All
jumped
enjoying
around.
It on stage, jumped around. I remember Jason jumped up and right onto my toe. Oh,
I'm getting like full body chills hearing that. Like, ouch, man. I can't imagine. I guess it fueled the pure rock fury or something.
Yeah, that was cool. We took the ferry over there and
yeah, man.
That was awesome, man.
It was.
It's such a beautiful place in Nanaimo.
It is. It was an interesting time to be driving through there as well because we camped out or like parked. I don't know if we like camped legally. We parked by a lake and like hung out overnight a couple of times. And it was great. I mean, it was just the woods. It was lakes. It's a gorgeous time of year to be out.
Yeah.
I think that was like maybe a week and a half, like 2 sort of 3 or 4 day weekends worth of shows. And then we're back here because Jason was leaving.
Yes.
Jason couldn't continue to go on tour. And so
I remember that. That was a very tough time.
It was a tough time. I don't remember, and maybe it's not important to necessarily sort of run down like all the bullet points of exactly what went down when we're talking about this kind of stuff. But it was a tough time. I think we all wanted it to continue with Jason.
Yeah.
Like as far as the front person goes, every person in the band has their own thing. And like, it's not that one is better than the other. It's just different. John as a vocalist is very different than Jason as a vocalist and performer. I think both were effective. Chris as a, guitarist and vocalist is different than you as a guitarist and a vocalist. And both are fantastic, And so Jason couldn't do it. I feel like, and Bev and I touched on this a little bit. I think we all, at least for me and Bevan for sure, we like want to just keep it going. Like there's some kind of momentum, like some kind of momentum, like we got to keep doing this. And so Sean Streeper, did you suggest Sean? How did that come up? Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I want to say I did, but who knows?
Yeah, you did. Sure.
It was like, we all knew.
Yeah.
We're like, Sean's great. He's a great guy.
Yep.
Great vocalist.
Yeah.
You look at Sean, you're like, Sean's a vocalist?
Yeah, of course. A metal vocalist?
A metal vocalist? Like, I remember listening to you and Bevan talk, and Bevan was like, he was worried Sean got up on stage the first time, and then Sean's like, "Everyone get the fuck out, man!" He's like yelling at people. Yeah, exactly. You're like, whoa, where did that come from?
It's going to be okay. Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, I remember Sean hopped on board, and he kind of did a similar thing with me, as he had like a week to learn all the lyrics, and you were like, here's all the lyrics, Sean.
Absolutely.
Here's a booklet. And man, he nailed it. He nailed it. He did so good. And then, so we played that BC, and then we came back up to GP, right?
We did.
We
had like a week
or something like that.
Yep.
And in that time, we got our van.
Yep. That's right. We had acquired a 15-passenger van to pull our trailer.
Yeah, and we got a trailer too.
We got a trailer. We owned these things.
Yes. And there was 6 of us because we picked up Bevan's buddy Mark. And
I don't remember how this came up. I think it was the case that Mark he'd worked all of his life and he wanted to take some time off. And somehow in conversation with him and Bevan, we were talking about going on tour, and he had some money saved and wanted some downtime in his life. And so he volunteered to like drive and be a roadie and stuff.
And he was so funny too.
He was such a good guy, man.
Nothing but laughs. And
absolutely, just good vibes. I saw him.
Didn't he show up with like a pack of fake mustaches too? And we all wore fake mustaches on the drive.
Absolutely. There are a lot of pictures that pop up on, I think, like Facebook memories of us with like different mustache, like me with a mustache over my mustache, that kind of stuff. That was a great time. Mark, I saw him on my birthday last year.
Oh, nice.
I don't remember what the deal was. People kept asking me about birthday hangs or something, so I sent like a bunch of Facebook messages out. But like with anything these days, like 3 people like showed up to hang out. I'm like, whatever, But Mark was one of them. And
Right on.
I hadn't talked to that guy since being on tour with him.
Oh,
and
wow.
We had such a great conversation. He's married. They have 2 kids.
Oh,
and
good for him, man. What a great dude.
Absolutely. It's nothing but love for that guy, man.
Yeah.
So we set off. We hit the road. I remember the van had its share of mechanical problems. Do you remember, like...
I remember when the gas got low, it would like make these weird clunking noises, eh?
Exactly. Clunking noises. Later, it turned out that I think like the fuel pump, there was something wrong with it.
Oh, okay.
Because I sold that to Josh Kuykendall and those guys.
Oh, yeah.
He and his band. And I remember getting a phone call from their vocalist, and he was like pretty mad. They had, tried to go somewhere, and it had died instantly. And they're like, "Hey, what's with this band you just sold us, man?" I'm like, "Dude, I don't know. Like, we fixed it up, and it's been sitting for a couple of years. The battery's been changed, and it should be fine." So they took it in, and turned out the fuel pump was busted all along. So that clunking, and it wasn't even that the fuel would get to empty. It was like
it's like half a tank or something.
Half a tank left, and it would just crap out.
Yeah.
It would just not go anywhere. We would be...
we carried a jerry can in the trailer all the time.
We did.
We'd keep topping it up.
Exactly. I remember we headed out on tour. We got past White Court. You remember climbing up that hill after White Court? And on the top of the hill, it started clunking, and then it died.
Yeah.
And so we're like just heading out on tour, and oops, this van has died, and we can't go anywhere. And I'm sure like 2 people in the band like flagged down a vehicle, got a ride down to the nearest gas station, flagged down a vehicle, got a ride up back to where we were, filled up the tank, and then from then on we always had a couple of jerry cans.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I remember that we had a close call going to Thunder Bay. Like we were running really low, and then we had the jerry can. We filled it up. And then we were also running really low.
But we were like coming down a hill into Thunder Bay, right?
Dude, exactly.
I think we like coasted into a gas station.
Coasted it on fumes. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. So we hit the road in this thing. Did we play with Textbook Tragedy with you? I feel like we did.
Was that in Brandon?
That was in Brandon, Manitoba. Yes. Yeah, that's right.
I remember
that was a heck of a show. Again, all ages show, small hall.
Yeah, we were in like an old like...
It was like an old church or something,
yeah, it was like
right?
a church hall or something.
Yep. Totally.
That was cool.
I think it was just us 2 bands, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a couple shows that stick out, like that Calgary one, the Nanaimo, Brandon, and Thunder Bay, actually. I distinctly remember Thunder Bay. The stage was huge. There's so many people there.
So many people. Do you remember there's this guy, Mike? I don't know if he promoted the show, but he was involved with that.
Is
he was like a tattoo artist.
House we stayed at?
Whose house we stayed at. We were like trying to find his house after the show. And then we were like, I think he and his wife were like watching TV, and it was super late. So we were like, is this the house? Do we go in? And I feel like we like opened the door and like sneakily walked in so we could run away if it was the wrong house. Oh my gosh. Those were some good shows, man. Oh my gosh. And we had so many shows fall through like on the road as well. Like there were a couple of clusters of shows that fell through that, I don't know, maybe we had like 20 dates booked officially, but then we played maybe 12. You know what I mean? Like it was something like that. Like it was like a small number of shows compared to what we had initially planned on doing. We had to cancel our like Nova Scotia type shows because the Quebec
Montreal.
dates. Right. We had 2 or 3 shows in Quebec that fell through, and there was no way we could make it out to Nova Scotia and back.
Yeah, we ran out of money because no one was giving us any money.
Dude, do you remember playing the show in Toronto?
Yes.
Running around trying to track down the promoter, and someone's like, "Oh, she went over here. She went over here. Oh, she left. No, she said she'll be back. So you guys just wait around." It was a bunch of stuff like that, and then there was just nobody to be found. Right?
I remember too that stupid show in Toronto. There was like some. The old drummer for Megadeth was playing upstairs.
One of the drovers, Glenn. Oh, that's right.
And I remember he was like hammered upside down and smoking. He's like, anyone have a lighter? And I lit Glenn Drover's cigarette.
Totally. Cool. And then we were like, hey, let's take a photo. Like, cool. And they were like, hey, man, here's one of our demos.
Yes.
He's like, okay, cool. And then I don't know if maybe somebody else in the band had come out and we're like, yo, let's get another photo. And he was like hammered. So he's like, and he like dropped our CD and it smashed. And he's like,
Oh,
oh,
yeah.
classic. And we're like, oh, let's get out of here. Exactly. If you had like a slide twist, like,
And
was one of those.
with that show, I remember at the end, the promoter or something tallied up like who came to see this band and all these people, who came to see this band, all these people, and that's how the payment was divvied out.
Which was not the deal that we made.
Yeah.
We made a deal that we would take X kind of some kind
sun
of cut.
went away.
It's going. What's going? I wonder if I move that there and put that. You know what? Let's take a like a 2-minute intermission, and then let's wrap up
Sure.
our conversation.
I gotta go pee anyway.
Perfect. Go pee. All right.
Thank
Cool.
you.